Hey, what's going on YouTube? And welcome back to Tech Conversations. Firstly, if you haven't already, make sure to check out LuxAlgo. LuxAlgo is the #1 agent to help you find strategies, powered by some of the best trading indicators and used by over 15,000 traders, including myself. And I'll actually show you one of their premium indicators later on in today's video. But right now, if you sign up to LuxAlgo by using my link in the description below, you can get up to 50% off their premium indicators. And keep in mind, you can also get 30 days risk-free, so why not try them out? So go ahead and check out LuxAlgo. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Also, make sure to check out the Discord, completely free to join. I'll put a link to it in the description below as well. We're at over 8,000 members in here, so thank you to everyone that's joined the Discord. Now let's get right into today's video. So, earnings season continues into next week. We have some pretty big companies announcing earnings next week. And one of them, which we will talk about here today, is Nvidia, perhaps the most anticipated earnings of the year. So firstly, when does Nvidia have earnings? So let's take a look here at the most anticipated earnings for next week. Now, where can we find that? We can find that in the Discord. So if you go back to the Discord here, under this first section here, there is an earnings calendar channel. So let's go ahead and click on it here. So if you take a look here, we can see the most anticipated earnings for the week beginning November 17. Again, there are some pretty big names here, but the biggest name of them all and what we're going to talk about here today is Nvidia. So where is Nvidia? Nvidia is right here under Wednesday. So Nvidia will announce earnings on Wednesday. And as you can see, it's under the after close column. So that means Nvidia will announce earnings on Wednesday after the market closes. So we're very close to earnings here for Nvidia. Now, the very first thing that I like to do is I like to find what the earnings implied move or earnings expected move currently is. In other words, how much are investors expecting Nvidia stock to move for earnings as of right now? And remember, we find this by taking a look at how much the at-the-money straddle cost, and then we multiply that value by 0.85. Remember, a straddle is an option strategy where we buy a call, we buy a put. They both have the same expiration date and the same strike price. But with the at-the-money straddle, we're specifically using the at-the-money call and the at-the-money put. So let's go into the options here for Nvidia. And let's take a look at how much the at-the-money straddle costs here. Now I'm going to switch over to my stocks account since that has level 3 options and we need level 3 to be able to set up straddles here. So we want to make sure here that we select the first expiration date that comes after the earnings date. So that's going to be November 21st. So I'm going to leave that as it is here. And then again, we want to select the at-the-money call and the at-the-money put. So we're currently on calls. So the at-the-money call is going to be the call option whose strike price is as close to the current share price as possible. So when the market closed yesterday, Nvidia was at 190.17. So the closest strike price to that is going to be 190. So that means that this is the at-the-money call. So let's go ahead and select it here. Now let's switch over to puts and let's also select the at-the-money put. So same concept, the at-the-money put is going to be the put option whose strike price is as close to the current share price as possible. It's also going to be the one at 190. So this is the at-the-money put. So let's go ahead and select this here. So again, what we care about here is how much does this cost? So it costs about $14.70. So we go ahead and we multiply that by 0.85. That gives us around $12.45. So that means that as of right now, investors are expecting Nvidia's share price to move up or down about $12.45. Now, if we take that value and divide by the current share price, we get a move of about 6.6% up or down as of right now. And remember, this is just an estimate, not a guarantee. Now let's see what has historically happened the last couple of quarters. So I'm going to go over to Market Chameleon, really great website here. So we're in this earnings section, historical NVDA earnings price movement statistics. So if you take a look at this section right here, Nvidia post earnings movement, So we first of all see when earnings is. Nvidia is going to report earnings on November 19 after market close. The options market overestimated Nvidia stock earnings move 67% of the time the last 12 quarters. The predicted move after earnings announcement was plus or minus 8.1% on average. As of right now, we got plus or minus 6.6%. So as of right now, it's a little bit less volatile than what it's been in the past on average, versus an average of the actual earnings move of 7.3%. So let me know in the comment section below, how much do you think Nvidia will move for earnings? Now, again, I think trading earnings is very risky, but a lot of people are still going to do it, especially with options. So if you're going to be buying calls and buying puts, let me just quickly show you some of the risks so that you're at least aware of what could happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to option strat now. So I'll put a link to option strat in the description below. Really great options visualization tool. So what that means is this allows you to visualize any options traded before you enter it. So if we take a look here, we're currently on Nvidia. Let's say you wanted to buy some calls for earnings. So let's say you select the November 21st expiration date. You select the 195 strike. And let's say you want to buy 2 of them here. So again, this is going to show you like what your debit, how much you have to pay, what your max loss is, your max profit, if you have the premium version of option strat, what your chance of profit is, and your break even here. And then down here we have our P&L chart. So again, let's say you wanted to buy these 2 calls and hold through earnings, which again is on Wednesday. So let's say you're looking to hold into Thursday. And let's say you come in here and you see that on Thursday when the market opens, if Nvidia is at 199, according to this, you would be up $70. So that's what you might think. But again, what this does not show you is what might happen if we see IV crush. Remember, as we get closer to earnings, we tend to see implied volatility on these options go up. And then right after earnings, we tend to see IV quickly drop. That's known as IV crush. So take a look here what might happen if we see IV crush. And this is just an example of what could potentially happen. So if we take a look here where you think you might make $70, let's see what happens if IV drops from 69% to, let's just say 40% as an example after earnings. So keep an eye out here. I'm going to drop this to about 40% here. So take a look. Where you thought you would be making $70, now all of a sudden you're down $150. That's why you need to be very careful if you do decide to trade options through earnings. Now that being said, let's head on over to TradingView. Let's take a look at the chart for Nvidia. So here we are on TradingView. I'll put a link to TradingView in the description below. Really great charting tool. And like I mentioned earlier, let me first show you one of LuxAlgo's premium indicators. So this is their signals and overlays indicator. So this indicator comes with confirmation and exit signals. So these confirmation signals aim to confirm any potential action a trader might take, and they're more effective when used in confluence with other features. There are also exit signals, which aim to help traders find areas to consider exiting a position based on a previous confirmation signal. So if you went long here with this confirmation signal, this exit signal might have been a good potential area to take profit. We also have the smart trail, which you can see this blue and red shaded area there. So an uptrend is indicated when the price is above the smart trail, and a downtrend when the price is below the smart trail. Also, you can use these shaded areas as potential areas of support and resistance. We also have reversal zones, so this red and green shaded area. So these zones are designed to help user find potential, tops or bottoms here. So go ahead and check out LuxAlgo. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Now let's go ahead and remove this indicator, and let's take a look at the chart here for Nvidia. So as you can see, I am on the weekly chart here. And as you can see, I've already drawn a trend line here already. So first of all, what is the current trend for Nvidia? And I'm talking about the multi-year trend. If we go back here many years, all the way to beginning of 2023, what has Nvidia been doing? Nvidia has been forming higher highs and higher lows. So for the last few years, Nvidia has been in an uptrend, and that's pretty obvious. And what we can do is we can connect some of these higher highs and higher lows to draw some trend lines. These trend lines have been acting as areas of support and resistance. You can see I've already drawn one of these trend lines. So it's been acting as an area of support multiple times here in 2023, here later on that same year, maybe here in 2024, and then look at this right here. This was April of 2025, so earlier this year. So we have this trend line connecting some of these higher lows. What we can do is we can clone this, and we can also connect some of the higher highs that have formed here. And what you're going to notice here, right, is that Nvidia for many years was trading in between these two trend lines here. Right, and so this trend line was acting as an area of resistance for a while. So here, this was June 2024. This was November 2024. This was January 2025. So it's acting as an area of resistance. So this right here was an ascending channel chart pattern, a bullish chart pattern. Nvidia was trading in between this channel and just moving up. And so what eventually happened is we broke out of this ascending channel chart pattern to the upside here. And then for a little bit, it went back in, but then again broke up out of here. And so what's very interesting to note here, and what's powerful about this, is that you can see this trend line that used to be resistance. Look here what's happened the last couple of weeks. It's the trend line that's been acting now as an area of support for Nvidia. So that's a key area to watch. Also notice this red line here. This is the 20-week simple moving average. Nvidia is getting close to that. So that could be another area of support there. So we have this trend line acting as support, and then the 20-week simple moving average here acting as support. So there's quite a bit of support in Nvidia. Again, every time it gets to this trend line, it has been able to hold a support, and it bounces back up here. Now let's switch over to the log chart here. So let's go ahead and remove these two trend lines, and I'm going to switch over to the logarithmic chart. I'm going to go to the monthly chart here as well, and let's go ahead and reset this price scale here. So remember, the log chart might provide a more accurate representation of price trends and movements, especially for assets with significant price changes like Nvidia. And so again, notice I already have a trend line that I've drawn here. And so we have a touch here. This was actually going all the way back to 2015. I almost had a touch here. This was 2020. Had a touch here. This was 2022. So as you can see, for many years, this lower trend line has been acting as an area of support here for Nvidia. Now again, notice what happens when I clone this trend line and I drag it to the top. Now up here, it connects some of these higher highs. Again, another clear indication that Nvidia has been in an uptrend here. And so now this upper trend line has been acting as an area of resistance. So this was back in 2017, could not break through, eventually pulled back. This was 2021, could not break through, pulled back. This was 2024, could not break through, pulled back. And now take a look. Nvidia is going for another potential breakout out of this ascending channel chart pattern. So to the upside, Nvidia here still has some room before it hits this trend line on top. Maybe around 230, 240, somewhere around there. Now to the downside though, right, if it pulls back like it has these other times, it would fall quite a bit. You know, we'd be talking 80, 90 maybe. So there is kind of room to go up to the upside, a lot of room for the downside here. But again, what's been clear is that it's been trading in between this channel for many years. So it'll be very interesting if it breaks up to the upside here. And if it can't, you know, we might get a pullback like we've seen here multiple times. So anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section below. Check out the Discord, link to that in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys next time.